What if the secret to aging well wasn't hidden in modern supplements, expensive diets, or high-tech trackers, but in the quiet lives of medieval elders? No gyms, no smoothies, no calorie counting. Yet many lived longer, stronger, and with sharper minds than we'd expect, even in an era known for hardship. So how did they do it? Today, we're peeling back the layers of history to uncover a mysterious medieval diet that may still hold clues for a longer, healthier life. You might never look at your pantry the same way again. In the Middle Ages, survival past 50 was rare, but not impossible. And those who did live into old age were often deeply respected. Far from being viewed as burdens, medieval elders were guardians of wisdom, community storytellers, and herbal healers. Their health wasn't just luck. It was built on centuries of learned behavior, and diet was at the heart of it. Forget stereotypes of dull gruel and spoiled meat. The diets of medieval elders, especially in rural communities and monasteries, were surprisingly balanced, intentional, and seasonally aligned. In this video, we'll walk you through their daily meals, explore the power of herbal remedies, uncover the meaning behind seasonal fasting and feasting, and show how elders played an active role in shaping and benefiting from their food systems. When we think of medieval food, we often picture overcooked meat or plain porridge. But for elders, especially those in rural or monastic settings, the diet was much more nuanced and surprisingly health-conscious. Their daily meals focused on moderation, digestion, and nourishment rather than indulgence. Breakfast, when taken at all, was light, perhaps a slice of dense rye bread dipped in herbal broth or a bit of warm ale. Lunch was typically the main meal, stews rich in legumes, onions, garlic, turnips, and sometimes dried fish or a bit of preserved meat. Dinner was lighter again, often a warm pottage or herbal gruel. What stands out is how little processed food existed. Everything was made from scratch. Grains were stone ground, vegetables were seasonal and organic by necessity. Meals were cooked slowly in ceramic pots over open fires, preserving nutrients. Butter, cheese, and eggs were enjoyed in moderation, not daily staples, but treasured supplements. And meat? Reserved for special occasions or prescribed for the sick. Elders often consumed less meat than their younger family members, not from scarcity, but because they understood the strain it placed on digestion. They weren't chasing calories, they were following rhythm of land, of season, and of body. It was a diet born of survival, but shaped by wisdom. To the medieval elder, the line between kitchen and apothecary barely existed. Food wasn't just sustenance, it was the first line of defense against illness, and herbs were the most trusted allies. Elders were often the keepers of herbal knowledge in their communities. They understood that a pinch of dried thyme could soothe a cough, that rosemary could ease joint pain, and that nettle, boiled into tea, could restore iron levels in the blood. This wasn't mystical guesswork. It was centuries of trial, observation, and oral tradition. Garlic and onions were staples not just for taste, but for their antimicrobial properties. Dill and fennel helped with digestion. Parsley acted as a diuretic. Sage, literally called salvia, from the Latin for to heal, was used to protect against fevers and promote memory. And unlike the overwhelming herbal aisles we see today, medieval elders used what grew locally. They dried herbs in bundles above the hearth, steeped them into tisanes, herbal teas, or crushed them into warm oils and poultices. They didn't rely on pills. They relied on plants, not in high doses, but as a gentle daily presence. Every meal carried a medicinal note. A broth wasn't complete without a touch of marjoram. A stew was healing when laced with mint or lovage. To them, food and medicine weren't separate concepts, and that integration might be one of the greatest lessons they've left behind. If modern diets are obsessed with intermittent fasting, the medieval world had already mastered it, not as a trend, but as a way of life tied to nature, religion, and survival. Elders in medieval times didn't eat 3 square meals a day year-round. Instead, their diets followed the liturgical calendar, seasonal availability, and community customs. Fasting wasn't just a religious duty, it was also a built-in detox, a time to rest the body, reduce inflammation, and reflect spiritually. For nearly half the year, people abstained from meat, dairy, and indulgent foods. During Lent, Advent, and other holy periods, elders often led by example, consuming simple vegetable soups, barley gruel, and small portions of dried fruit or fish. These periods gave the digestive system a break and may have extended longevity by limiting overconsumption. But fasting was only half the story. When feasting came, harvest festivals, weddings, or saints' days, elders joined the celebration with deliberate joy. Rich pies, roasted meats, honeyed pastries all appeared in moderation. But even during feasts, balance remained. Elders would pace themselves, favoring the warming spices and stewed fruits that aided digestion. This ebb and flow between scarcity and abundance wasn't punishment. It was a rhythm, and it mirrored the body's natural cycles: cleanse, restore, energize. Modern science now tells us that periodic fasting can support metabolism, reduce inflammation, and enhance cellular repair. But medieval elders knew this already, not in clinical terms, but in lived wisdom. They understood that eating well wasn't about constant nourishment. It was about timing, ritual, and restraint. In today's fast-paced world, aging is often seen as decline. But in the medieval mindset, old age was not the end of usefulness. It was the peak of wisdom. Elders in medieval villages, monasteries, and households weren't pushed aside. They were often consulted before major decisions, whether about planting cycles, local disputes, or family matters. And this social purpose directly impacted their health. Science now backs this. Elders with a defined social role often live longer and suffer fewer illnesses. A village elder might no longer work the fields, but they taught survival skills: how to salt fish before winter, how to recognize edible herbs, how to tell when a storm was coming just by observing the birds. These were life-saving insights, passed down not through books, but through conversation and observation. Elders also cared for children, shared stories, and preserved oral history. They led prayers, performed blessings, and advised on matters of ethics and health. Monastic elders in particular were responsible for copying manuscripts, tending medicinal gardens, and mentoring younger monks. And psychologically, purpose is powerful. These elders didn't feel obsolete. They were seen, respected, and needed, all key factors that support longevity even today. In short, the health of medieval elders wasn't just in what they ate or how they lived. It was in how they were valued as guardians of tradition, protectors of memory, and walking libraries of practical knowledge. In medieval villages, mealtime wasn't just about food. It was about connection. Elders rarely ate alone. They dined with extended families, apprentices, and community members. And this wasn't accidental. Shared meals allowed elders to pass on wisdom, recipes, herbal knowledge, and even table rituals. In many regions, the oldest person at the table said the blessing, dictated the portions, and ensured fairness. Food became a bridge between generations. More than that, eating together protected elders from loneliness, a hidden health killer even today. Communal eating sparked laughter, debate, stories, and a sense of being needed. That emotional nourishment, it mattered as much as the meal itself. Before refrigeration, fermentation wasn't just a culinary trick. It was survival. And it turns out, it was also medicine. Elders consumed a surprising amount of fermented foods: sourdough breads, vinegar-soaked vegetables, curdled milk, and even fermented grain porridges. These foods were loaded with probiotic bacteria long before anyone knew what the word meant. These living foods supported gut health, boosted immunity, and helped the body extract more nutrients from simple meals. Monasteries in particular mastered the art of fermentation, creating aged cheeses, herbal beers, and medicinal meads that doubled as both nourishment and healing tonics. Modern science is only now catching up to what medieval elders already practiced. A strong gut is the root of strong aging. While modern wellness focuses on diet and exercise, medieval health included the spirit. Elders maintained deep spiritual routines: morning prayers, meditative walks, periods of reflection and silence. Their days were shaped by monastic hours, church bells, and seasonal festivals. These rhythms created predictability, and predictability created peace. Even during hard winters or times of war, this inner structure gave them mental clarity and emotional resilience. They saw suffering as part of the human condition, not a personal failure. And in their final decades, they often became spiritual guides, helping others face life's uncertainty with courage and faith. Their wisdom wasn't just practical, it was deeply philosophical. And maybe that's the greatest mystery of all. They didn't just know how to live, They knew why they were living. So, what truly kept medieval elders healthy when there were no hospitals, no supplements, no health apps? It wasn't just luck. It was a way of life rooted in simplicity, rhythm, and respect for nature. Their diet was fresh, seasonal, and purposeful, full of nutrient-rich grains, legumes, and herbs. Their meals followed the natural rhythm of the year, times of scarcity and times of celebration. They moved constantly, rested when the sun did, and ate with intention. But most importantly, they had purpose. They were valued for their knowledge, not dismissed for their age. They weren't isolated. They were integrated into daily life, teaching, healing, guiding. There's a deep mystery to their resilience. Yes, they had their hardships. Yes, life expectancy was lower. But those who reached old age often lived well into their 70s or 80s, and when they did, they were active, sharp, and still contributing. Their survival wasn't magic. It was memory of how to live with the land, with the seasons, and with each other. Maybe the real health hack isn't in a pill bottle or a smoothie. Maybe it's in slowing down, eating what grows near you, moving with purpose, and becoming someone that others look to, not someone the world leaves behind. So ask yourself, what ancient rhythms have you forgotten? And what wisdom might still be waiting in your kitchen, your garden, or your grandmother's stories? If this video sparked something in you, a memory, a curiosity, or even just a new appreciation for the past, hit that like button and subscribe. We've got more hidden medieval wisdom coming your way. And in the comments, tell us, which part of the medieval elders' lifestyle would you bring back today? See you in the next one. Until then, live simply, think deeply, and stay curious.